Hello everybody. Today I'm here with Team Robokings Aurum from Australia. In the last 2 seasons, the Robokings team has been a formidable force, achieving exceptional results. In addition to qualifying for the World Championship in the Powerplay season, they were winning Alliance captain in the Franklin division, and in the Central Stage season, they were finalist Alliance first pick in the final divisions. In the Central Stage season, you managed to win the Innovate Awards in your division. Additionally, you achieved a solo world record. What do you believe is the most innovative part of your robot from last year?
I would say the most important innovative part of my robot from last year was the bi-directional horizontal slides extension on our outtake. It was really useful when scoring per order, as it kind of minimized the distance that our bot had to move. And it also allowed us to score the teams during teleop. And it is definitely what the judges highlighted last year when they talked to us after receiving the innovative award for.
Also, do you think you want to talk about your transfer? Because I think that is innovative too.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Our transfer, we used a passive release system, essentially, where we had sprung flaps that held our pixels in when the chute was moving up and down in the air, and then we had walls that held the flaps down through a bar mounted on the edge of both flaps that sat against the wall, so that when the intake was down and the chute was down in an intake position, it was physically impossible for the chute flaps to open to let pixels out, but as soon as we wanted to transfer, as soon as we grabbed the pixels, if we moved out up and over our deposit because of that passive release system, we were able to score and transfer very quickly.
Oh, this sounds clever. What is your approach to achieving such performance this year?
We always try to find a key reason that motivates us each season and help us remind why we do it. So this will probably lean a little bit on your next question, but FTC is very much a game of time. Obviously, there's other factors involved, but at the end of the day, you can design a good watch without a large chunk of time committed to the competition. So last year, we followed the motto, do the best, you gotta beat the best, which was just a reminder that we told ourselves when things stopped working, which unfortunately happened way too much for our liking. It's also about the reason why you do FTC. Last year, especially, we focused on trying to create something that pushed the limits about what can be done with the FTC control system and the hardware. And this year, we'll be aiming and focusing more on trying to achieve the consistency that we lacked last year.
Great. Also, last year, with such a complex robot, I assume it required a lot of prototyping. How much time do you dedicate to prototyping in order to come up with the final version?
Yeah, so obviously I would say that we were pretty much constantly prototyping throughout the whole season. We were never fully happy with our final robot. We spent around 2 to 3 weeks at the beginning of the season brainstorming about what possible design ideas we thought would be good, and then after our regionals competition, where absolutely nothing worked, we decided to pivot to a completely new design, and we moved to a 5-week redesign for our national robot, which we did not have time to optimize. So post-nationals, we spent around 2 months prototyping new intake design, our horizontal slides, and more efficient packaging for our transfer, etc. It was very common to have some team members working upwards of 60 hours a week on top of school, and when it got closer to the competitions, such as Wilds, and we needed to spend more time optimizing our robot, we would split sleeping schedules so that someone would be working on the robot at all times. just a quick preface there. It is really important to spend a lot of time on your robot to get something competitive, but it's more important that the time is being spent well. So there's no point in spending 12 hours straight working on your robot if you can get the same amount done in 4 hours while working on experts. But yeah, we were pretty much constantly prototyping throughout the whole season with such a complicated robot.
Yeah, that sounds great. Also, how do you recommend other teams think about their strategy throughout the season?
When we look at our robot strategy, we kind of try to look and think ahead, what's going to happen in the high level competitions like Worlds, and design. And our design goal will be being able to compete in that level. And we definitely recommend prioritizing consistency when designing a robot, because a bot that can do everything some of the times will never be a robot that is consistently good. And what's the best thing?
Yeah. Sorry. I think last year our performance in finals was probably a good example of why perhaps prioritizing what is theoretically the best robot is not always going to produce the best performance on a game field.
Looking at your matches, is evident that you have you put more training in driver practice. How much time did you spend on driver practice?
We always aim to spend at least 100 hours on driver practice before Worlds. In Powerplay season, we were able to achieve 100 hours of driver practice, but unfortunately in center stage we were not able to spend 100 hours because we are constantly working on the robot in autonomous.
Ajay, about the Powerplay. Powerplay was the first season in which your team qualified for the World Championship and managed to stand out, obviously. How did you become so good in such a short time? And how do you maintain the performance for 2 consecutive years?
Yeah. Okay, so for our team, Powerplay actually wasn't the first year that our generation qualified for Worlds. We actually had qualified in our rookie year the previous year in Freight Frenzy through first place robot in Australia. However, we are a public school and the state government policy, because of COVID and the war happening at the time, stated that we were not allowed to attend Worlds, which was a little bit sad for us. So we decided to apply for, after watching Worlds and seeing all the amazing robots, we decided to apply for MTI, and we managed to find a sponsor that would allow us to go 4 weeks out from MTI. So once again, we decided to try a complete 4-week redesign, which didn't work out very well. We did not perform very well at MTI. But in Freight Frenzy, that was our first in-person competition ever. And it was actually also our second competition ever, if you count our online Australian Nationals, which was our first competition. So I think our real genuine introduction to FTC being at such a high level and being able to see and be surrounded by so many high-performing teams was extremely impressive and motivated us throughout the following seasons. It was definitely a big reason as to why we wanted to put so much effort into the competition, which in turn is why we performed well in Powerplay on center stage due to the amount of effort our team members were putting in.
Yeah, and now you're the one who inspire other team. It sounds...
that is goal, totally.
Yeah. How do you approach training recruits in the team to maintain consistency?
Well, as Tinko mentioned before, we are a public school, so we essentially advertise the robotics club around the school, and then we allow every single member that's interested to join. Either our team or one of our sister teams. We normally have 2 teams operating under the Robokings name, but last year we had enough people to run 3 teams. So obviously you can force someone to be interested, but we have found that inspiration is kind of like the best part of motivation. People are way more motivated and normally more interested and willing to put a work in after experiencing a competition. So we always try to work around having teams going to regionals, that, and seeing how the flow works and how other teams perform. And we always try to make sure that we match the expectations. So if there's always someone at the club that's willing to put up time, we are always trying to find a job for them. So we encourage new members to join the club as often as possible. Another thing we try to do is to pair our newer members with our more experienced ones, so they can work together at building and coding. So more experienced members can help teach the rookies while they get actually work.
Yeah, you said last year you were 3 teams. How did you have the funds to have all those robots or all the teams?
We got a lot of help from our sponsors, and we got a bunch of sponsors. We only had 2 teams classifying 2 boards, but basically we get sponsored and some financially from the schools, and we also pay for our own trips.
I think our biggest sponsor definitely was our public school. We had a principal change from Freight Frenzy at the beginning of Freight Frenzy, so as we performed well in Powerplay, especially once we performed well in Powerplay, we started to get a bigger budget allocated to our club. So we were very fortunate to have the funding from our school to buy Go kit, etc. And as far as outsourcing to get plates cut or anything, we actually are right next to a manufacturing department in our school. So because we are a school, once again, we have access to those facilities for free. And all we had to do was source, say, the materials for our plates, which we managed to get sponsored. But a lot of the manufacturing jobs or like plates being cut, that was all done in-house, which really also helped cut down our costs. So our largest expense was probably kit parts, which our staff mostly covered, and then we had sponsors for tools, etc., like Bosch. And then all of the travel is personally paid for by the team members' families.
Oh, cool. Okay. What has been your best experience in FTC? Your core memory, I'd say like that.
Well, FTC is a great competition overall. That's why so many teams are putting so much time into it. But I would say that the best experiences in FTC is definitely being able to work with a team and the competition atmosphere. There's something to be said, obviously, about the insanely impressive designs and bots that teams will bring to competitions that sometimes you just cannot wrap your head around how a team has created them. And being able to befriend other teams at competitions and see the energy is also wonderful. But personally for me, it's the time spent in the robotics room working, the late nights, and the early mornings, and all of the random little inside jokes and traditions that you have as you watch the bot come together and celebrating with your team. I think that's what probably makes FTC special with me. Like, there was a moment at the World Championships when I think our qualification matches had finished. Not everyone's was in center stage, and our team was sitting in a circle in the concrete floor, like 100 meters away from everyone, but still in the middle of it all, at the convention center, and we were discussing like the performance of the bots in our division and strategy for the semi-finals. And I think like that being a culmination of all the work that we put in over the past 2 years, and being able to experience that with our team that we generally enjoy spending time with, is probably a core memory. It's a little bit more mundane, but I think it's the mundane moments in FTC that truly make it such a great culture. For me, Kenny.
Okay, that's all. That's all the questions we had. Yeah, thank you for coming here today and sharing your experience with others. We appreciate
Happy to. Thank
Thanks
you
for
very much.
inviting us.
Thanks for having us.
it.